In the Pacific Northwest, there are forests so deep, so untouched, that even experienced hunters avoid them after dark. Not because of bears, not because of mountain lions, but because of the stories. Stories about something enormous moving silently between the trees, something intelligent, something that seems to watch people long before it's ever seen. And according to a growing number of researchers, a few people may have captured it on camera. Not blurry shapes, not distant shadows, but something disturbingly real, something that should not exist. Jake Mercer had spent nearly a decade living alone on 40 acres of dense wilderness in northern Washington. He owned a small logging operation and knew the surrounding forest better than most people know their own neighborhoods. He'd seen black bears tear through campsites. He'd tracked elk through storms. He'd even survived a mountain lion encounter that nearly turned fatal. The woods didn't scare him anymore, until one morning in May changed everything. Like every Sunday, Jake loaded onto his ATV before sunrise and rode out to check the trail cameras scattered across his property. 6 cameras, miles apart, deep inside old-growth forest where almost nobody ever walked. The 6th camera sat furthest out, nearly 2 miles from the nearest road, overlooking a small clearing where deer often passed at night. Jake expected the usual footage. Coyotes, deer, maybe a wandering bear. Instead, he found something that made his blood run cold. At exactly 4:23 a.m., a massive figure appeared in the center of the clearing, standing upright, completely motionless, over 7 feet tall. Dark fur covered its entire body, and its shoulders were so broad they nearly filled the frame. But what terrified Jake most was how clear the image was. No blur, no distortion, no shaky footage. The camera had captured it perfectly. At first, Jake tried to rationalize it. A bear standing on 2 legs? Except the proportions didn't match. The arms were too long, the chest too wide, the waist too narrow. And unlike a bear, this thing carried itself naturally upright. Like walking on 2 legs was normal for it. Across 3 separate frames, the figure remained completely still for nearly a minute. Then it slowly stepped backward into the trees. But just before disappearing, it turned its head toward the camera and stared directly into the lens. Jake later admitted that was the moment he stopped breathing, because the face didn't look animalistic. The eyes weren't wild. They looked aware, curious, almost calm, as if the creature understood exactly what the camera was. Jake spent hours replaying the footage, searching for flaws. He checked lighting angles, pixel distortion, frame skipping. Nothing. The shadows aligned naturally, the proportions stayed consistent. Even the movement looked biologically authentic. By midnight, Jake had made a decision. He was going back into the forest. But this time, he wasn't going alone unprepared. The next evening, he packed nearly 60 pounds of equipment into a hiking frame: infrared cameras, audio recorders, backup batteries, emergency supplies. To his neighbor, he claimed he was doing night photography. Technically, that wasn't a lie. Just before sunset, Jake hiked deep into the forest and concealed himself roughly 100 yards from the clearing where the figure had appeared. Then he waited. For the first 2 hours, everything felt normal. Wind through the trees, owls calling in the distance, branches creaking softly in the cold air. But around 11 p.m., the forest changed. Not quieter, dead silent. Every insect stopped, every bird vanished, even the wind seemed to disappear. Anyone who spends enough time in the wilderness knows that kind of silence means one thing: a predator is nearby. Then came the sound. A single branch snapping somewhere in the darkness. Heavy footsteps followed. Slow, measured, 2-footed. Something enormous was walking through the trees. Jake raised the infrared camera with trembling hands and pointed it toward the sound. The footsteps stopped instantly. For 10 agonizing minutes, nothing moved. Then the noise came. Low, deep, somewhere between a growl and a whistle. And worse, it didn't sound like it came from one direction. It surrounded him, like whatever was making it was circling through the darkness beyond the trees. Jake's heartbeat pounded so violently he could hear it inside his own skull. Then suddenly, a shape emerged from the tree line. Massive, the same creature from the trail camera. Only now it wasn't frozen in a photograph. It was alive, and somehow, even larger in person. The creature stepped calmly into the clearing with unnatural smoothness. Every movement looked controlled, effortless, almost human. But not human, never human. Its arms swung low beside its body. Its posture remained perfectly balanced, and when it turned its head, it moved with eerie precision. Like something completely comfortable moving through terrain no person could navigate in darkness. For several minutes, the creature stood motionless beneath the trees. Then it looked directly toward Jake's hiding place, and everything changed. At first, Jake told himself it was impossible. There was no way the creature could see him. He was hidden beneath thick brush, dressed in dark camouflage, completely still. But the moment those eyes locked onto his position, he knew. It wasn't guessing. It knew exactly where he was. The creature tilted its head slightly, studying the darkness where Jake lay hidden. Through the infrared lens, its eyes reflected back like polished stone. Calm, focused, intelligent. Not the reaction of an animal stumbling onto a human. The reaction of something assessing one. Then, it started walking toward him, slowly, deliberately. Every heavy step landed without urgency, yet somehow without sound. For something so massive, the creature moved with terrifying control. At around 30 yards away, Jake could finally make out details the trail camera never captured. The face looked almost human, but wrong in ways his brain struggled to process. A pronounced brow ridge, deep-set eyes, flattened nose, thin lips partially hidden beneath dark hair. Not an ape, not a person, something in between. Its body looked built for a different world entirely. Thick muscle beneath dark fur. Arms slightly longer than human proportions, but not grotesque. Every movement carried the balance of a predator completely at ease in its environment. Then the smell hit him. Wet earth, rotting wood, animal musk. But beneath all of it was something older. Something primal that instantly triggered fear deep inside his nervous system. Jake would later say the smell didn't feel like something you recognized. It felt like something your body remembered. The creature stopped less than 15 yards away. Close enough to touch, close enough for Jake to hear it breathing. And in that horrifying moment, he realized something that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He was not observing the creature. The creature was observing him. It stood there silently, head slightly tilted, examining him with almost clinical curiosity. No aggression, no panic, no fear, just awareness. Like a scientist studying something trapped behind glass, Jake's hands shook violently around the camera. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but another part of him understood that sudden movement might be the worst thing he could do. Then, the infrared monitor died. Black screen. The battery was gone. Total darkness swallowed him instantly. Jake froze in panic, fumbling desperately through his pack for the backup battery. His fingers slipped twice before he finally slammed it into place and powered the camera back on. The screen flickered. Static. Then the clearing reappeared. Empty. The creature was gone. Not retreating, not walking away. Gone. As if it had simply dissolved back into the forest itself. Jake scanned wildly through the trees, searching for movement, but there was nothing there anymore. Only silence. After several minutes, he finally forced himself to move. Every instinct told him to leave immediately. He packed his equipment with shaking hands and began hiking back toward his truck beneath the cold beam of his flashlight. But when he reached the dirt road, he stopped dead. Fresh footprints surrounded the vehicle. Massive, deeply pressed into the mud. Each stride measured nearly 4 feet apart. The creature had followed him all the way back, and somehow he never heard a thing. The footage Jake captured that night spread quietly through a small circle of wildlife analysts and independent researchers. 3 separate video experts examined the recording frame by frame. None found evidence of editing. No digital manipulation, no costume seams, no visual effects. Even more disturbing, the creature's movement appeared biomechanically natural. The weight distribution, the muscle shifts, the gait, everything behaved like a living organism, not a man in a suit. For a brief moment, Jake believed he might have captured the most important cryptid footage ever recorded. But 3 days later, things became far more disturbing. Jake returned to the forest to recover the remaining trail cameras. Every single one had been destroyed, not smashed randomly by animals, disassembled. Carefully, pieces of equipment were scattered across the forest floor as though someone or something had intentionally taken them apart. And every memory card was missing. Months of footage had vanished. Then Jake noticed something carved into the bark of a nearby redwood tree. 3 vertical marks crossed by 2 horizontal lines. A symbol. Intentional, deliberate. A warning. Around the damaged equipment, investigators later discovered multiple sets of footprints. Not one creature. Several. Different sizes, different stride lengths. A group. That realization changed everything. Jake hadn't stumbled onto a lone, unknown animal. He may have entered the territory of something social, organized, and aware enough to recognize surveillance. Researchers later collected hair samples tangled in broken branches nearby. DNA analysis reportedly failed to match any known species in North American databases. Not bear, not human, not wolf. Unknown. But perhaps the most chilling part of Jake's story isn't the footage. It's what happened afterward. He stopped going deep into the forest alone. Not because he believed the creatures wanted to hurt him, but because he became convinced they understood boundaries better than humans did. His cameras hadn't simply recorded wildlife. They had crossed into territory where he wasn't welcome. And according to Jake, whatever lives in those woods made sure he understood that message clearly. But his encounter was far from the only one. Across the Pacific Northwest, strange footage has surfaced for decades. Different locations, different witnesses, different years. Yet the descriptions remain hauntingly similar. Towering upright figures, long strides, dark fur, human-like intelligence. And some researchers believe one particular recording from 1992 may contain the clearest image ever captured. A video so detailed, some claim it surpasses even the legendary Patterson-Gimlin film. Its creator was a tracker named Paul Freeman, and what he filmed in Washington's Blue Mountains would become one of the most debated cryptid recordings in history. By 1992, Paul Freeman had already built a controversial reputation in cryptozoology circles. A former Forest Patrol officer and experienced tracker, Freeman spent years collecting strange footprints across the Pacific Northwest. Critics called him obsessed. Believers called him one of the few men willing to go where others wouldn't. But on August 20th, deep inside Washington's Blue Mountains, Freeman captured footage that would divide experts for decades. That morning, he carried a high-8 camcorder into a remote logging area after discovering a line of unusually large tracks pressed into damp earth. 16 inches long, far too large for any human. As Freeman followed the prints through the trees, his camera suddenly jerked upward. And there it was, a massive dark figure crossing an open logging road. Not running, not hiding, walking calmly into the forest. The footage lasted only seconds, but researchers would spend decades analyzing every frame. When stabilized and enlarged, disturbing details began to emerge. Visible muscle movement beneath the skin, natural arm swing, leg mechanics impossible to fake convincingly using costume technology from the early 1990s. One frame appeared to show something even stranger. An Achilles tendon shifting beneath the creature's leg as it walked. If authentic, it meant the figure wasn't wearing loose fabric or artificial padding. It possessed functioning anatomy beneath the surface. Anthropologist Jeff Meldrum later visited the exact filming location to conduct measurements himself. Using tree markers, road width, and stride calculations, he estimated the creature stood over 7.5 feet tall and weighed more than 700 pounds. But perhaps the most unsettling detail wasn't visual. It was audio. Years later, modern enhancement software uncovered faint twig snaps synchronized perfectly with the creature's footsteps. Tiny environmental reactions matching immense body weight moving through real terrain. To supporters, it was impossible to fake naturally. To skeptics, it still wasn't enough. And that tension between possibility and disbelief has haunted every serious Bigfoot investigation ever since. Then came another case, one that researchers still consider among the most important daylight sightings ever recorded. In the summer of 2001, a youth hiking group traveled through California's Marble Mountain wilderness carrying a handheld Sony camcorder. During the trek, one of the hikers noticed movement along a distant ridge line and aimed the camera toward the trees. What appeared on the tape stunned investigators, a towering figure pacing slowly across the mountainside. The footage lasted nearly 2 full minutes, far longer than most alleged sightings, and offered analysts something rare: continuous movement. Frame by frame, researchers studied the creature's walking pattern. Heel placement, knee movement, midfoot flexion. The gait resembled a great ape, yet still remained eerily human. Then modern image enhancement revealed a detail many believe changed the entire case: a visible mid-tarsal break. Essentially, the middle of the foot appeared to flex during movement, something commonly found in non-human primates, but nearly impossible to replicate in rigid costume feet. And the discoveries didn't end there. Near the hikers' base camp, investigators uncovered a strange structure hidden within dense trees. Large fir branches woven together like a shelter. Not random debris, constructed. Some branches measured nearly 8 inches thick, stacked deliberately and covered with moss for insulation. Forestry experts later confirmed no logging activity had occurred anywhere nearby. No campsites, no human structures, nothing explaining who or what built it. Then analysts reviewing the original tape noticed faint sounds buried beneath the wind. A deep, distant whoop, followed seconds later by a shorter bark from another direction. Call and response, communication. For many researchers, that possibility was more terrifying than the footage itself, because it suggested these creatures weren't solitary. They were interacting, coordinating, possibly living in groups hidden deep within wilderness humans rarely enter. Then in 2011, another recording emerged. One so strange it became known simply as the Independence Day footage. A hiker near Sherman Pass Road in Washington had been casually filming the forest during a holiday trip when a large, dark figure stepped into an open clearing. But what happened next stunned everyone who watched the tape. The creature bent down, lifted a smaller reddish figure into its arms, and disappeared behind a boulder. Researchers immediately focused on one chilling implication. This may not have been footage of a single creature. It may have captured a family. The video's daylight clarity made it even harder to dismiss. Hair movement was visible in the wind. Body proportions appeared non-human. And the location, more than 9,000 feet above sea level, made elaborate hoaxes nearly impossible to stage. No roads, no support crew, no easy access. Just wilderness, and something moving through it. By now, the pattern had become impossible to ignore. Different witnesses, different decades, different forests. Yet the same behaviors appeared again and again. Observation from a distance, controlled movement, avoidance without panic, intelligence. Then came one final encounter. Not discovered later through footage, not analyzed frame by frame afterward, but experienced face-to-face in real time. A lone hiker had stopped for lunch deep inside a familiar forest trail. Nothing unusual, no fear, no sense of danger. Until suddenly, he felt watched. Not nervous, not uneasy, watched. Across a small clearing, a massive figure stepped silently between 2 trees. 7 feet tall, covered in black fur, completely still, and staring directly at him. The hiker later described the creature's gaze as overwhelming, not aggressive, but intensely focused, like being examined. For several seconds, neither moved. Then the creature slowly repositioned itself behind a tree while continuing to observe him from partial cover, not fleeing, not threatening, maintaining visibility while reducing exposure. Researchers later called that behavior deeply significant because it implied tactical thinking, risk assessment, decision-making. The creature understood concealment, and perhaps understood humans far better than humans understand it. The hiker never ran. Something inside him warned that panic would be dangerous. Instead, he slowly gathered his belongings and walked away without turning his back fully toward the trees. Only after reaching his vehicle did he finally break down in fear. He never returned to that forest again. And maybe that's the most disturbing part of all these encounters. Not the size, not the footprints, not the impossible footage, the intelligence. Again and again, witnesses described the same thing. Something watching from the darkness with patience, curiosity, and complete awareness. Not behaving like an animal, but like something choosing not to be found. And if even a fraction of these stories are true, then somewhere inside the untouched forests of North America, something may still be watching us back.